Hello, my lovely audience. Welcome to another video. Vela. Welcome to another video. So then, in this what if, well, I'm just gonna be blunt here and I'm gonna say, I know it may, the whole stick of possible, brain daddy has stopped working. Okay, welcome to What If Deku at the Quirk, immortal Voodoo doll. Now, I know the entire thing about immortality is not the best for stories, but I think I made this quirk interesting. Now then, so basically, well, okay, I'll just explain the quirk before we get into the what if. Deku's body is extremely unique in the fact that he is basically a superorganism, let's say the man of war jellyfish. Those jellyfish, each part of it is its own individual creature, with its own specific purposes. Deku's body is much of the same, where not only is his body able to break apart and function as if nothing happened, each part of him is able to function on its own. An ordinary injury can't put him down for good. What do I mean by this? You could drill a hole through his chest, like a fist-sized hole, and he will just keep on going like nothing happened. He will be able to operate just fine. So basically the quirk makes him a living punching bag. Now, the reason I said, immortal voodoo doll, is because if he eats a part of a person, like some blood, some hair, bit of skin, flesh, so on and so forth, if he gets it into his body, the person will feel and receive whatever happens to him. The amount he eats dictates the amount of time it lasts. You can fully... So, basically, whatever he eats from you... Oh my goodness, my brain... Okay. Fuck. Give me a moment. Yeah. If he eats a piece of you, whatever happens to him happens to you. He gets high, you get high. You chop off his head, your head gets chopped off, so on and so forth. Yeah, and I do mean anything. Any sensations or feelings will be transmitted to you, even emotions. Yeah. Now then, how do you get on with actually killing Izuku? You have to fully destroy his brain. What do I mean by this? His quirk stems from his brain. Every other piece of him requires, a nervous system to function. So, if you were to fully incinerate an arm of his to the point where there's no skin left, no flesh, it will not still have the capacity to move. The arm will just stop. And if you have a quirk that can disrupt the human nervous system, you'll actually be able to slow Deku down, but only if you can disrupt the nervous system. Now, the nervous system does not require to be connected. It requires that it's there. So once again, you can, decapitate him, and his body will still move, whilst his head is on the ground. Now then, last piece of the quirk, last bit of the quirk. Whatever part of him that is removed is able to regrow, as long as there is a brain intact. More on the A and not the later. But yeah, it'll take a couple of months for him to, it will take him a month to regrow an arm or something like that, so it's usually better for him to just stitch it back on. Once again, not once again, but yeah, he can't just reattach limbs, he has to physically stitch them back on. Anyway, with the quirk out of the way, the explanation of the quirk, let's get on with the what if. Give me a moment. Okay, yeah. Let's get on with the what if. So then, yeah, the what if will start with a young Toya Todoroki just walking throughout the city. He managed to sneak out from his home, fully aware that his father would not care where he went. I know the hill event happened, like, when, Shoto was only born. Let's pretend it didn't. Yeah? Let's just pretend it did not. Give me a moment. Yeah, let's pretend it did not for a few seconds here. Yeah. So then, Deku's, no. He would be walking throughout the city. You know what? Nah. Full-blown Dabi. Yeah, it's Dabi. Yeah, just massive time skip. Middle school, it's Dabi. Walking throughout the city, just being Dabi. He would hear an explosion, pretty loud ones at that. Yes, multiple consecutive ones. And make his way to, the area. Him arriving only to see a blonde walking off with two presumably idiots and a green-haired individual on the ground missing a head. Like, his head is there, it's just on his lap. Dabi would walk up to the head and look at the teens, being like, guess heroes really are failing at their jobs. Until the head would speak. Yeah, I'd say so too. Dabi would jump back, screaming like a cat. He would jump back like a cat. Like a cat that sees a pickle. He would have that reaction. Dabi would, jumping back, would yell, "Who are you? Why? What? Deku would look at him before his body would twitch and then move, putting his head back on the stump, him reaching into his bag and pulling out a little sewing kit as he would begin stitching his head back onto his body. Yeah, they be assholes. Don't mind them, though. Oh, may I ask what your name is? Dabi. Now, explain how you were a head on the ground, like on your own lap, but you're still alive. Explain that. My quirk, Deku would say with a smile and a way too cheery attitude for the fact that he was, a few moments ago, a head on a lap. Time jumped back to when Deku got his quirk. He was rather excited, but his parents, such as Ingo and Asashi, were not. This quirk is rather villainous in nature, especially with the whole eating parts of your opponents to reflect the state of your body onto theirs. So, things would hit the fan. Shit would hit the fan. Izuku's parents would late night argue about just whether they should get rid of him or not. Bakugo would still bully him, if not more, because Deku went from a worthless piece of crap that's not worth his time. Canon Deku, worthless piece of crap, not worth his time, to a training dummy. Yes, Deku's quirk makes him a perfect training dummy as long as he just doesn't let him get close. So yes, Deku would be used as a training dummy. Now, Deku, over the years, would gain this morbid curiosity for his quirk, him doing experiments onto himself. For example, he cut the back of his hands and gouged out one of his eyes, putting the eye in the hand and stitching it shut. A few hours later, undoing the stitches and seeing that his eye had attached itself to his hand, allowing him to see from the back of his hand. He would do various experiments on his own body. Hell, one time he even pulled out his own brain and essentially put it in his gut. Now, what this did was essentially gave him a backup, as you would say. Because because of the nature of his quirk, a new brain grew in his head, whilst the other brain, the original one, was in his gut, essentially making it so that Deku has, if someone, destroys his head, he can still survive it. Now in Bakugo, he probably would. Along with this, Deku, in the palms of his hands, would take teeth and his own tongue out to, stitch them in and ram them in, stitching the wound closed. Cut forward a few hours, and, his hand had begun to function like a mouth, even being able to eat things. As well, his gut would begin making extensions to reach his mouth hand, allowing him to eat things from his hands, just to improve his quirk a bit. So he has eyes on the back of his hands and mouths on the palms of them. Weird, I know. But yeah, over the years he would, just kind of as a coping mechanism, do these horrific experiments on his own body, seeing how they worked. One time, he removed one of his arms and placed it lower, essentially giving him an extra one. The possibility for an extra one, but that experiment was quickly scrapped because, he didn't want anyone learning of his experiments, especially with the teeteringness of his parents' marriage. If they found out about what he's doing, it would surely be either him going to the orphanage or divorce. And one day, when Deku's about 6, Hisashi would leave Inko. Yeah, our original, him paying child support every month or so. Inko, being heartbroken, would begin taking out her frustrations on Deku, fully aware that no matter what she does to him, the brat's going to survive. Now, what did I mean by, destroy his brain earlier? I can't remember if I elaborated on this at all. I meant, fully destroying it. Detonating his head. But, because the less brain, the slower his regeneration and ability to repair, so get rid of it entirely and he dies. He can't regenerate anymore without a brain. But if there's a piece of the brain left, He'll be able to heal from it. It'll take him months, if not years, to do it, but he can. Once again, the amount that's left depends on how fast the regeneration will take place. It's why the brain is so important, and why he had a backup in his gut. Okay, yeah, let's continue. Now, over time, Inko would get more and more furious with Deku. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. Just flat out fuck it. I've been making somewhat wholesome content, so I'm just going all out with this one. Sweet Home Alabama. Oh my goodness. But yes, her getting frustrated and sexually pent up, she would, with the only man in the household, the Midoriya household, aka Izuku, aka her son. If I can't say the word properly, so I'm just going to have to spell it to you. She would RAPE him multiple times over the course of years and years. Eventually it reached like a nightly basis. Oh, I'm going. Ugh. Yeesh. When I was making this channel, I did not intend for me. Like, I intended, wholesome, a little bit cringy content. Here I am, doing the polar opposite of wholesome, and, in my opinion, making half-decent stories. Yeah, if you agree, leave a like. Leave a like. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I did the classic YouTuber thing after that mess. Ugh. And I'm not going to go in detail. You can obviously guess why. Anyway, yeah. Let us continue. Yeah. She would do the Sweet Home Alabama with Deku. Non-consensually, of course, because he's 6 when it starts. Yeah, that just makes it all that worse. Oh, I'm making Inko into a horrible person in this what if. And, well, that would lead Deku up to current day. With Dabi. Now, Deku, he told all this to Dabi, but before he told all this information to Dabi, he would have said, guessing from your appearance, you are a villain. Dabi would say, I'm more of a vigilante in my opinion. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, you're more of a villain based off your appearance alone. No one is walking around in a full leather jacket looking like you do and isn't planning on murdering someone. And, well, I'm guessing you don't want to share your past with anyone. Dabi would say, I intend on it being a big surprise, despite my father. Deku would raise his weird mouth hand thing and say, alright, well, what if I were to share my past with you, and you share your past with mine? Sound good? Fine. Eh. Only if it's a bad one, though. Only if it's a bad one. If it's lollipops and rainbows, I ain't telling you shit. Dabi would say, kind of annoyed at Izuku. Now, cut to after the explanation of Deku's life, and Dabi would be throwing up in a trash can. Why did you have to go into so much detail? Dabi would say, throwing up in the trash can. Deku would say, eh. He would shrug before saying, eh. Just kinda needed to get it, off my chest. Dabi would continue throwing up in the dustbin, saying, I did not need to know what kind of whip she used. Now, when she used the whip, I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I ain't gonna say that, because if you want an answer, it's both. Both times. Not like both individual times, like I mean in both situations. Inko was a bit of a dom of the Natrix. Why am I doing this? I should just be moving on with the subject. Why am I continuing on it? Why am I continuing with the subject? I don't know. I just want to at this point, I just want YouTube to monetize the video. At this point, yeah. Anyway, after that, let's just ignore that and continue with the what if. Dabi would continue throwing up in a dustbin. 15 minutes later, he would sit down next to Deku and say, well, that was pretty bad, so, might as well. Dabi would tell Izuku his wonderful tale of being the mistake of the Todoroki family, one of the first mistakes, and how much of a piece of shit their father is, and how, he wants to kill him. Deku, with a very odd smile on his face, would say, oh, well, isn't that wonderful? Hey, how about this? I help you kill your old man, and you help me kill, well, my old hag. How does that sound? Deku would say, putting his hand against Dabi's ear, his hand actively being the one to speak. I kinda can't make it look all too authentic, but if the entire apartment was burnt to nothing, no evidence, am I right? Dabi inside would just be like, Dabi would just look at Deku and say, I like the way you think. The two of them, like, locking hands, bro fist style. Like, let me introduce you to my new best friend. They pretty much became instant besties over the fact that they hate their parents and want to kill them in the most painful ways possible. Deku would get up, so would Dabi, and they would set their plan into motion. Deku would, cut off his ear, put it out against, brain.exe stopped. He would go inside, his mother bitching to him, complaining, then hitting him with the whip, and saying, I had such a shit day today. Tonight, you're the one who's going to be screaming. Inko kinda getting off on that. Yep, she gets off on her own son's screams of misery. Yeah, she is a bad person in this what if, an absolutely terrible one. Deku would cut off his own ear and place it in the plant pot outside of the, window before walking back outside and Dabi working his magic. Deku being able to hear his mother's screams in surround sound. Yeah, he has his ear pressed against the wall and his other ear in the plant pot. So the two ears are kind of just working in conjunction, giving him a surround sound viewing of her screams. Yeah. When the fire department inevitably comes, Deku, kinda fake cry. When everyone's looking, fetch his ear out of the plant pot, stitch it back on. And him and his new best friend would be off to set out an elaborate plan in order to kill Endeavor in the most brutally painful way possible. Anyway, yes, Deku would have the intent of joining UA. He goes to UA. He heard some rumors that Endeavor would, at least at some points, be teaching there. So he would go there to kind of memorize Endeavor's schedule. So, well, plus Shoto's most likely going to be there, so he's going to check up on him for Dabi. Plus, once again, Endeavor's probably going to be teaching there, so might as well learn that old crone schedule, relay the information to Dabi. Anyway, Deku, who's adopted a bit of a sadistic personality in this what if, one night would go out walking, strolling, until he would hear the sounds of men screaming. A sadistic smile growing on his face as he would skip like a child towards the sounds of the screams, curious on who's making such a lovely symphony. Him turning the corner and seeing a blonde girl with her hair done up in two bangs, her wearing a schoolgirl's uniform as she's giggling at the men's screams and how beautiful they look bleeding. Oh, how cute they are. Why did I just turn into Toga? I began talking about her, and then suddenly I turned into her. Oh my goodness, might need to lay off the what-ifs for a few days. That was a joke. Anyway, yes, let's continue. Deku turning the corner and waving to Toga, being like, "Hey there! Oh, how wonderful! Oh, this lovely little setup you have going on here. Mind if I help?" "Help what?" Toga would say, tilting her head. "Torturing them, tormenting them, listening to their screams, bathing in their blood. Blah blah." He would, mock vampires and kind of just be a bit too laid back for the only men there who are not, screaming in agony at the cuts. But there would be one guy who's just trying to slowly crawl away. Toga would hand him a knife before saying, "Hey, okay, let's see what you got." He would walk up to the man the man who's trying to crawl away, before picking him up by a hair and saying, "My mother used to do this one with me." We cut to Dabi, who's just kind of chilling in, his apartment, technically. The place where he's staying. Which is not that far from Deku, it's like a block. Until he would hear, "Oh, fuck, no!" You would just hear a man screaming, so loud, it shatters glass, as he would just run outside and look to the side like, "What the fuck?" Toga would begin profusely blushing at this and kind of getting off at it, being like, "How wonderful, how absolutely amazing this is," until one of the sewer grates would begin to shake as a man would jump out with the words "horny police" on them, as the man would show a red card at Toga, blowing a whistle before saying, "Stop it, you're going to horny jail. I'm the horny police." Deku would look at the man before saying, "Wonder where you were." And my mother was doing unspeakable things. The man would look at Deku before saying, "Oh yeah, she had a hole in her pass." I probably should have swiped that off her body before we incinerated her. The man would look back at Toga, blowing his whistle again and waving the red card at her, until Toga would pull out a pass that says, "Horny pass." The man would say, "Oh, never mind," as time would seem to reverse as the man would just go back into the sewer drain as the sewer train would go on its own, like time was reversing. Deku would look at this before saying, "Oh, how wonderful of a person that was." Toga would look at Deku before saying, "Yeah, I tend to meet, horny police every weekend or so. Just got my horny pass recently. They haven't really, got in records yet. I really wish I swiped that off my mother before she burned to death." "Aw, that's sad. She didn't even die bleeding." "Well, she kinda deserved it." "So did mine," Toga would say, like, on one leg up against Deku. "Can I cut you?" Deku would shrug before saying, probably won't even feel it." And Toga would begin carving Deku like a Thanksgiving turkey. Him not even, because of his quirk, him not dying. As, the two of them would look at each other with romantic music playing. And the area around them would suddenly go pink. We cut back to Dabi, who who would just sneeze. Sounds like someone's. And he would just sneeze before wiping his nose and saying, "Sounds like someone found their soulmate." Wait, why do I sneeze every time that happens? As, Toga and Deku's heads are coming closer to each other, the sewer drain would burst open again, as the man would once again emerge, saying, "Stop it! This is against horny law. You're going to horny jail." Toga just throwing a knife at him, as it would hit him and he would go, "Horny!" Before time would reverse again, the knife flying back at Toga. The man saying, I won't forget this," as he would reverse time back into the sewer grate closing again. "What an interesting fellow," Deku would say, putting his hands together, as Toga would burst out laughing. Time skip, UA. Entrance exam. Deku's just kind of sitting there, moving side to side, not a care in the world, until, he did pretty good on the written exam, and he's currently sitting in President Mike's explanation of the physical exam. As, Bakugo would come up, "What you doing here, nerd?" And Bakugo would begin yelling, either turning around robotically, "Shut up! Shut up!" Bakugo shutting up, as Ito would once again turn around again to face President Mike the stage robotically. As President Mike would begin his presentation, Deku would do Deku things such as muttering, memorizing all the information he can get his hands on with his two brains, so he thinks doubly as quickly. Ida still asks his dumbass question, turns to Deku, is a dumbass, insults Deku, as Deku would just casually pat Ida on the back before leaning over and punching him square in the nose. Just punch out bells ringing as he would punch Ida square in the nose. The blood from Ida's nose just kind of being sent flying. Deku's hand, which is also covered in blood, Deku would just slowly lick it before he would say, oh, positive. Not that bad. Maybe I should try more. Bakugo just hitting Deku over the head with his school bag like, sit the fuck down, weirdo. Ida, who was promptly shut the fuck up after getting punched so hard, his blood went flying so far it hit President Mike in the glasses. President Mike just choosing to ignore it and continuing the presentation with the blood still on his glasses. I'm having way too much fun with this what if. I didn't even plan ahead with this one. I just kind of went balls to the walls. The reason I did this what if is because I just couldn't stop thinking about, ways of Deku getting impaled. I don't know why, but just I couldn't stop thinking of situations where Deku would just end up using this quirk. So I decided to make the what if to get it out of my head. Anyway, Deku, who had brought a baseball bat, which is basically just a sharpened, well, not sharpened, but it's a stick. It's a glorified stick. I doubt Ida can complain about a stick. Anyway, Deku, who brought a baseball bat, well, it's a metal stick, because it's a metal baseball bat, would just begin using it to break apart robots, fully aware that they don't have sentience so can't feel pain. Not caring, him still killing them in the most painful ways possible for the average human. He would swing the baseball bat up into a three-pointer's crotch, the robot just grabbing that area, its legs coming together as the thing would fall down. Deku was saying to himself, guess they can feel pain. I also guess that that's their weak point. He would say as oil would drip from his baseball bat as his head would turn to the other 0-pointers. Not 0-pointers, the other 3-pointers. As the 3-pointers would just kind of go, oh shit. Their arms would stretch back as they would take, an oh shit position as 3 and 1-pointers would begin running away. I believe the 3-pointers are the ones with legs, and I also believe the 1-pointers have legs as well. I think the 2-pointers are the ones with the tracks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just assuming that 3-pointers and 1-pointers have legs and 2-pointers don't. The 2-pointers who don't have legs, so thus don't have crotches, are just proudly sitting there. Just kind of proudly sitting there, their arms on where their hips would be if they had them. As, Deku's just killing 1 and 3-pointers by slamming them in. Wrong phrasing. By hitting them in the crotch with a baseball bat, then caving their heads in. One's attempting to reach out for or its friend, as the other tries to grab it, but then Deku would slam its, like, it would hit in the crotch, it would fall over, try and reach its friend would try and reach for it, but Deku would just slam it in the head, killing it, as he would just look at the three-pointer's friends, as it would begin running away, him throwing the baseball bat, slamming into its head, killing it, him ripping the baseball bat out, a little bit of oil on his cheek, as he would just continue, as he would just begin rampaging. Nezu, who's just calmly sipping tea, would say, who's looking at the cameras, would look at Izuku before saying, I don't know why, but I like that kid. Aizawa just side-glancing him, and then looking back at Izuku, who's just sort of torturing one of the robots, breaking its kneecaps, breaking its, the joint where the upper and lower arms meet. I forgot its name. Yeah, I can't remember its name right now. But that joint, just breaking that, breaking their crotches, and slamming them in the heads. Midnight, who was there, would say, with a pout, why did we have to make all the robots male? Calmly Woods, Vlad King, who's there, would look at Midnight and Nezu before saying, what are you talking? I can't do a Transylvanian accent, so this is the best you get. What are you talking about? That kid is a psychopath. He's making robots that don't feel pain run for their lives. Like, he is so scary that he has given the robots consciousness just so they can run. He is making machines feel pain. Nezu, with a sadistic grin on his face, would say, well, maybe I'll remember this next year. You know, the new batch of robots can feel pain. That would be funny. Vlad King looking at Nezu before saying out loud, like pondering out loud, I wonder how you became I wonder how you became principal of a hero school. He would look at Vlad King and say this with a straight face. The same way as you got with your wife. The process of elimination. Aizawa would burst out laughing as one seldom tear. Let me compose myself. One seldom tear would roll down Vlad King's cheek. Cut back to Deku, who somehow found a chainsaw and is now sawing robots in half. As we cut to the background, where a kid is yelling, my chainsaw! Nezu would giggle at this situation. Like Deku flat out ripped off the kid's arm. Don't worry, he has a machine quirk. Like, the arm regrows if it's destroyed. It's fine, but, he still ripped off the kid's chainsaw arm. Deku's just casually singing in Custer by Slipknot. Cut me up. Fuck me up. Cut me up. Fuck me up. That's how he's singing it as he's chopping robots in half. Them running like it's the Fire Nation attacking the Air Nomad temples. Avatar The Last Airbender references go hard. But yeah, they would begin running. The 0-pointer would come out, as would bust out, Uraraka gets trapped, Deku would run in like a hero, pulling off the rubble, saving her, blah blah blah. He would then rip off a rocket launcher from one of the robot corpses, aim it at the Zero Pointer's crotch, and then use one of the dead Zero Pointer's wires to, connect the missile to a power source, resulting in all the missiles being launched at the Zero Pointer's crotch, them exploding as the Zero Pointer would grab at its crotch, its knees coming together as it would fall down. Aizawa would just kind of smile, as Vlad King would say, "Did that child just dick shot the Zero Pointer?" Nezu would burst out laughing, along with Aizawa and Present Mike. Imagine that, your giant death robot gets dick hitted to death. Wow, 46 minutes, yeah. I think that's enough for today. Goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you next time. This was quite fun and quite comedic. Typically more so than I do. Question, should I continue with the extremely comedic content? Just the insanity that was this video. Or should I try and make my videos more serious? I liked the more comedicness of it. But yeah, you tell me in the comments. Anyway, goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!